All right, for lesson 6 in unit 2, today we're going to talk about measures of central tendency, which are mean, median, mode, and mid-range. Stuff that you've done in the past before. I'm going to show you today how to do it on the calculator and how to do it more specifically in Google Sheets. So you can read through in the notes section what a population is and the sample in those. Let me know if you have any questions on those. What I'm going to concentrate on here in the video is finding mean, median, mode, and mid-range. So mean, if you remember back from, is basically what we would consider, if we would say something is average, we're usually finding the mean, although average would count for all of these, to be honest with you. In any case, the symbol for mean is x with a bar over it. You take all the numbers, you add them up, and you divide by the number of numbers. So if you have a list of 15 numbers, add them all up, divide by 15. You can either physically do that, type in, this plus this plus this plus this, and then when you get to the end, then take that, divide that by 15, or I'm going to show you another way to do it on the calculator. Median is the midpoint of the data, so if you're going to do it by hand, you list out all the numbers. You need them in numerical order, smallest to largest or largest to smallest. Doesn't really matter which one, to be honest with you. I know I have that underlined here, but it doesn't really matter. And then you take the middle number. Mode is the one that occurs the most often. So if you have a list of numbers and 5 occurs 6 times and everything else is less than that, the mode would be 5. And mid-range is to take the highest plus the lowest and divide by 2. All right, so let's do this stuff on the calculator first. Let's see, where do I have those numbers? Next page here. All right, so the steps for doing these things is on here. If you want to pause for a moment and possibly write that down, this is not in the notes section. This would be something you just need to write separately on your own. Okay, these are the numbers that I'm going to use right here in the calculator. Okay, so I already have them typed in. Let me show you how to get to it. So you go to Stat, stay on Edit right here, and then you type in the numbers. So if you want to pause for a second, you can't see all the numbers here because there's more than what's shown on the screen, but it's right here over here on the left. You type in those numbers. If you need to clear out a list of numbers, let's say you have numbers in a list and you want to use that list, you arrow up to it, you hit the clear button, and then once you go down, it'll clear that out. Okay, so you type those in, then, like it says here on this, we're going to go to Stat, arrow over to Calc, and then we're going to use one var stats. Something that, if you use the calculator, you're going to use quite a bit in this class. So Stat, Calc, one var stats. All right, we put this into L1. So I'm going to have that as L1. Frequency list for the time being is going to be blank because we only use one list. We'll eventually do things with 2 or 3 lists. And then hit calculate, and it will give you this. All right, X with the bar over it is the mean. These are numbers here that we're going to deal with later on. This is a standard deviation. That's in the next section. So we'll talk about that then. If I arrow going down here, I have the median, so 21.5. The mode doesn't appear in this list, so we're going to have to, I'll show you a way to figure that out here in 1 second. And then mid-range is to take highest plus lowest, so that would be minimum and maximum. You take those two, you add them together, so that'd be 103, and then you divide that by 2, so that'd be 51.5. So 51.5 would be the mid-range on this. Okay, the numbers that we have over here are not in order. We can have the calculator put those things in order. I'm going to quit out of here. If you go to Stat, and you notice here it says sort A and sort D, that means sort ascending and sort descending. So I'm going to do number 2. I'm going to do it ascending, lowest to highest. And then I have to tell it what list I want to do that. So notice right above the 1 here, you have this L1. So second and L1. Close the parentheses, hit enter. It'll just say done. And now when I go to the list, they will now be in numeric order. So I can just go through the lists here. So 11 occurs twice. Let's see if anything else occurs more than that. So if we look down here, it does not. So the mode in this case would be 11. Okay, so that's how you do with calculator. Let me show you real quick on how to do this on what's it called here? I just lost the name. Google Sheets. All right, so if we go to Google Sheets here, I've already, again, I've done a blank sheet. I typed in the 16 numbers right here. So here are the formulas for doing mean, median, mode, and mid-range. So mean is equals. So anytime you do a formula, you got to type in an equal sign. So equals average. And then I hit an open parenthesis. And then I want to find the average of all these numbers. There's a couple of ways you could do it. You could literally type in, so since the first number is A1 and the last number here is A16, I could type in A1 colon A16. That's kind of a pain because then you got to know which ones are which, and you got to say, oh, this one's an A, and it's probably a waste of time. Another way that you could do it is to take, after you've typed in that parenthesis, take your mouse or your finger if you're using a trackpad or whatever, and you want to take this one and hold the mouse down and drag through until your last one. It does the same thing as me typing it in. Or if that column, A in this case, only has the numbers that I'm dealing with, I can literally just hit the A like that, and it will do the average of everything in column A. One way or another, you're going to get that for an answer. Okay, so we have that. Then if I want to do, so that was mean. So mean is equals average and then the column that you're dealing with. Median is equals median. Same thing. Okay. Now mode has a problem. Do equals mode. It spits out the 11, but the problem is if there's more than one mode. So I know 11 occurs here twice. Let's say 18 also occurred twice. It's not going to give you both answers. So what I would do with that, instead of doing equals mode, is we're going to arrange the data on this one, which when I talked about the project from Unit 1, I showed you, but I'm going to show you here again. So if you click on A and go to Data, Sort Range, Column A, it takes them and puts them in order, and now you can just look at it. Okay, 11 occurs twice, nothing else occurs more than once. That's the better way to do it. All right, and the last one is mid-range, and mid-range is highest plus lowest divided by 2. Now, because they're in order, me personally, I would just do 5 plus 100 divided by 2. You can do equals 5 plus 100 divided by 2. Okay, 52 and a half. The problem with that is, what if I change the list of numbers? So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the calculator to do the lowest plus the highest and divide by 2. So that is equals, and then because I'm dividing the whole entire thing by 2, I'm going to put the numerator in parentheses. I want the minimum number in this list plus the maximum number in this list. I want to divide it by 2. 52 and a half. So that way, if I go and I change this number, see how that changes as well. So did everything else. So that's the advantage with using Google Sheets, as opposed to the calculator, is if I go in and I change this number, it's not 26, now it's 260. Everything changes along with it. I don't have to redo anything. I can just, formulas are already there, just you're good to go. So that's why we're going to use quite a bit of Google Sheets instead. All right, so that is lesson number 6. Let me know if you have any questions.